For the first time this primary, we've had all 6 candidates appear on one stage. This was with ABC7 and the League of Women Voters in Chicago for a debate. You had Aurora Mayor Richard Irvin, State Senator Darren Bailey, businessman Gary Rabine, former State Senator Paul Schimpf, attorney Max Sullivan, and taking part in the debate remotely was Petersburg native Jesse Sullivan, who tested positive for COVID-19 as part of the debate protocols. Since he had a positive test, he took part remotely. He says he's doing fine and was able to take part in that debate remotely. But they talked about a range of issues, all kinds of things, and you're hearing here on WMAY with Springfield's Morning News. I'm Greg Bishop on 92.7 WMAY, Springfield's News and Talk, and you can always chime in anytime, live and local at 217-629-7970, and you can also email me, bishoponair@gmail.com, or find me on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube. Just search out Bishop on Air. But we had, of course, the first time all 6 gubernatorial candidates on stage, and you've got the 2 front runners as being Darren Bailey trailing behind Aurora Mayor Richard Irvin. And they definitely took some shots at each other. COVID-19 was one of those issues that was raised among a whole bunch of other things, including education, including gun control issues, and population, and so on. But the issue of COVID-19 regulations came up, and you had Aurora Mayor Richard Irvin being criticized for his handling. Darren Bailey, he stood up and said that he was the only candidate that took Governor J.B. Pritzker to task over his COVID-19 mandates, and that sparked a lot of debate back and forth amongst all the candidates. Here's some of that.
I'm not interested in defeating you just because you're a Democrat. I'm interested in defeating you because you are a corrupt Democrat, and you're paid to play politics in the city of Aurora.
So that was Bailey essentially pointing towards Richard Irvin among the debate about COVID-19. So it kind of highlights how, a question may be asked, but with debates, some debaters, they may, answer the question briefly, but then go and talk about the candidates that they feel is their closest competitor. So in the discussion about COVID-19, again, Darren Bailey criticized Richard Irvin, and then he went on the attack against Irvin, but Irvin responded a bit to Bailey's accusations there.
And I won't be lectured by someone like Darren Bailey, who had a mask mandate on his own farm for the folks that he bussed in from other countries to work on his farm because he said Americans don't want to work.
So you can hear the tension there. It wasn't just Bailey versus Irvin. You also had several other candidates trying to talk about others' positions and previous statements and whatnot. Sullivan went after Irvin. Schimpf went after Bailey, especially about COVID-19, and saying that Bailey's characterization of the lawsuit wasn't accurate and so on. So it sparked a bit of infighting within the 6 candidates running for Illinois governor. But you also had the issue of crime, and Jesse Sullivan, again, taking part remotely. He laid out what he would do if he's elected governor when it comes to crime. And here's Jesse Sullivan.
Fill every single police vacancy. Repeal this anti-police bill that J.B. Pritzker signed into law that coddles criminals. We also need to recall Kim Foxx because we need a state's attorney that will actually prosecute crime.
Now, Kim Foxx is the Chicago Cook County state's attorney. There's no recall provision yet in state law, but Sullivan says he would lead the efforts to tackle that and to make that happen. Businessman Gary Rabine, he said the city is not hard enough on criminals, and again, he also pointed to Kim Foxx being a problem and how they need to hold criminals accountable. But those are just some of the issues. But they tackled a whole bunch of other issues, and I want to play for you all of their statements when it comes to tax policy. The question was asked during the debate about Illinois' high taxes, property taxes, and so on. And here's the candidates, starting with former State Senator Paul Schimpf at last night's debate on the stage with ABC7 in Chicago for the first debate with all 6 candidates. So when it comes to dollars and cents, here are the candidates' takes on tax policy in the state of Illinois.
Well, thank you for that question. And that is absolutely really the ultimate metric for whether Illinois is healthy or not, whether or not our population is growing, whether people want to come to Illinois to raise their families and grow their businesses, or whether they're fleeing our state. Our policy proposal is called A New Start for Illinois. It has 6 pillars to it. 2 of those 6 pillars address taxes. We have a predatory government in Illinois, and the way we do something about that is to end predatory practices. The most predatory practice is charging tax on tax. We are proposing a constitutional amendment that will put an end to that predatory practice. We also have to do something about property taxes. Property taxes are a threat to people's financial security.
Need to jump in right there, but thank you very much,
That
Mr.
was
Solomon.
Paul
What would you do to
Schimpf.
reduce the tax burden?
Now it's Max Sullivan.
CPR for Illinois, constitutional pension reform. Alan, we have to ask, what are we spending this tax money on? Why is Illinois so high in taxes? The answer, we're in debt. We're in debt up to our eyeballs. And what are we trying to pay off? The pension. Almost 30% of our budget, annual budget, and it's not even fully funded, Alan. That's what we're spending money on. We need to amend Article 13, Section 5 of our Constitution. That way we can save money and free up resources so people can come back to Illinois and make it a business-friendly state again.
Hey, Mr.
So again, that was Max Sullivan, Jesse Sullivan taking part in the debate remotely.
Created jobs all around the world. We are going to do that right here at home in Illinois. I am the only candidate in this race that has signed a taxpayer protection pledge saying I refuse to raise taxes on the people of Illinois. No other candidate has done that. And you have to ask why. Do they plan on raising taxes on the people of Illinois? Because we do not have a revenue problem in the state. We have a spending problem. So I'm going to reduce the budget by $10 billion by doing pension reform, by actually consolidating more units of government than any state in the nation, more per capita government workers than any state in the nation. We need a hiring freeze, and we need a corruption and patronage audit that I will do from my office. And we are going to lower the taxes on the people of Illinois. Look more like Texas and Florida, not New York and California.
Thank you, Mr. Bailey. How would you reduce the tax burden?
Well, as Mayor Irvin was increasing the gas tax by 2 cents in the city of Aurora, and his counterpart, Avery Bourne, doubled your gas tax, I was standing up in the state legislature and fighting against all this nonsense. We certainly have a problem, and it is destroying our families. It's destroying our business when people can drive across state lines and fuel up and save money and shop and eat out. And we've got to stop this nonsense. So a zero-based budget, starting at ground zero, rebuilding, getting the fat out of our budget. Friends, I've seen it for 4 years. The waste in our budget is immense, and it's going to lead to a restoration when we weed it out and rebuild the budget so that you understand it.
Thank you, Mr. Irvin. What would you say to Illinois residents?
Let me tell you how we did it for Aurora and exactly how we can do it for the state. We can reduce taxes, property taxes every single year, just as I've done as mayor of Aurora. Every single year I've been there, we've reduced property taxes. Unlike my opponent, Darren Bailey, who's raised property taxes 81% and voted on it 13 times, higher than Chicago. Let me tell you how we did it. We did it by reducing duplication, getting rid of duplication of services. We did it by doing a decrement in every single department in the city of Aurora, and did more with less. We did it by economic development. We've done more economic development in the city of Aurora in the first 4 years of my time as mayor than other mayors have done collectively in the last 40 years. And when you reduce the services, and bloated services, when you reduce duplication of services, when you do economic development and bring in more jobs and business, that's how you reduce taxes.
Thank you, Mr. Rabine.
So Gary Rabine's next.
I asked everybody to look this up because Cranes, about less than a year ago, had the highest tax city for property tax in the country, Aurora, Illinois. So I would beg to differ. Unless they're wrong, you should look at that.
They're wrong.
Okay, I say this, forget about holding taxes or vetoing taxes, okay? We need to crush property tax. I've been saying this from the very beginning. We need to crush property taxes to be the average of the country. The average of the country in a home pays 1% of the value in property tax. $200,000 home, $2,000. That's the average. Illinois is approaching $6,000 for that same house. That's highway robbery. We're going to stop it when I win. We're going to crush property taxes to the average of the country, 1% for commercial, 2% for
Thank you, Mr.
2% for
Schiff.
commercial.
So again, that's the Republican candidates talking about their ideas on tax policy. Really, when you get down to the kitchen table issues, you cut a check for your taxes, your property taxes, you're paying tax at the gas pump, you're paying tax here and there and everywhere. Are taxes being used appropriately? And some of the themes that we heard were government bloat, government waste. You had the CPR plan from Max Sullivan, constitutional pension reform, a lot of discussion about how to hold the line on property taxes, but also I think that also kind of highlighted some of the political infighting that we're seeing amongst all the candidates there, seeming to train their focus on who's been polled as the front runner, Aurora Mayor Richard Irvin. All right, got to take a break, and we'll have more of this throughout the morning, kind of unpacking some of the other things that were talked about in last night's debate with all 6 of the Republican candidates. This is Springfield's Morning News. I'm Greg Bishop on 92.7 WMAY, Springfield's News and